Now, members of the group Iraq Veterans Against the War, hosted by the Congressional Progressive Caucus, they talked about their experiences in Iraq for nearly 3 hours.
In honor of everybody that's here on time, we're going to get started, and I thank you all for being here. I'm Lynn Woolsey. I represent the 6th District of California. That's the 2 counties just north of the Golden Gate Bridge, north of San Francisco. Well, I own half of the Golden Gate Bridge, so just so you have some kind of an idea of the magnificent district this Congresswoman represents, not because it's so beautiful, which it is, but because, yes, because the people are beautiful that I represent, and they look all like you out there in this audience. So thank you for being here. I want to thank my friends my co-chair, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, we chair the Progressive Caucus together, and Maxine Waters will be here in and out. She is the founder and chair of the Out of Iraq Caucus, and the 3 of us do a lot together. We call ourselves the Triad, the Woolsey Waters Lee Triad, and people know a lot about us around here because our issues are your issues, and you make it easy for us to carry your issues. I also want to thank those who have sponsored today's event. Thank you very much for your work, for your intelligence and your indulgence. Our colleagues will be joining us off and on throughout this 3.5 hours. I think you know that the very issue we're talking about today is on the House floor all morning and all afternoon, and it is going to take people away from this hearing because the decision today of whether or not we spend another $170 billion to continue this occupation in Iraq is a very serious issue and will be discussed all day long. So be patient. Your words will be taken down. Well, not taken down. That's a negative around here. Will be transcribed and will be circulated. So you are not talking to a vacuum. Now, I want to thank the Iraq Veterans Against the War. You've traveled all over this country, across the country to be here with us today, and to put yourselves at the front table and to do exactly what we need you to do. And that's so important. And what is also important is to thank all of you brave men and women for not only your service to our country, but your willingness to speak out about that service. Iraq has become one of the most important foreign policy failures in recent history, and your words behind this discussion today will continue with our discussion on that and continue with the proof of what a waste we've set ourselves up with in this country. You know, around here in recent months, we've heard from General David Petraeus, we've heard from Ambassador David Crocker, we've heard from the White House over and over again. And they're all armed with PowerPoint presentations, they're armed with colorful posters, and all the language trying to convince us that after 5 years, we are finally making progress in Iraq. Well, we know that's not so. And what makes this morning so unique to us is that we now have an opportunity to hear from not the military's top brass, but directly from you, the very soldiers who put your lives on the line to carry out this president's failed policies. Today's event actually is a continuation of winter soldier hearings that were organized by the Iraq Veterans Against the War earlier this year at the National Labor Council in Silver Spring, Maryland. Over 3 days, Dozens of veterans shared their personal stories and testified about their own experiences on the ground in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan. These weren't pundits. They weren't analysts talking about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan in the abstract. These were the stories we're going to hear today, and the testimonies of the men and women who had experienced the horrors of war up close and personal. The Winter Soldier finds its roots more than 200 years ago in the writings of Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine said, "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of his country. But he that stands it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman." He knew what he was talking about then, and it fits perfectly now. The first Winter Soldier hearing was in 1971 when a group of Vietnam veterans testified before the Congress on that conflict and helped to galvanize the nation against the Vietnam War. Today's forum builds on the strong history of the Winter Soldier. It is our goal to provide these testimonies as a means of bringing Iraq from the abstract so that the American public can see it from a soldier's perspective. But before I turn things over to Congresswoman Lee, I'd like to lay out the format for today's events. First, Kelly Doherty, the Executive Director of the Iraq Veterans Against the War, will give a brief opening statement, and then she will introduce our first round of panelists. These are the witnesses brought. Oh, no. You need to know that these witnesses brought their own counsel, and they all have to know that they're free to call on your counsel if you think that you need to respond to something that counsel can help with. After the entire panel has spoken, we will then give members the opportunity to question the panelists. Now, members will be able to either give a 5-minute opening statement or give a short statement and ask questions, but they will be given a 5-minute time period. The speakers will be given 9 minutes. So, and we have here, show, Jason, hold up the cards. We will be warning you when you have finished 5 minutes, and then you have 2 minutes and 1 minute. Do you have things written on there? Okay, so you'll know, because if we have to be out of this room at 12:30, so we need to pull this together and move it along. Now, you have to know 9 minutes is a long time. At a hearing in the Congress, 5 minutes is it. So, and a lot of times we speak in 1 minute increments all over the place. We've learned to say a lot in a short time. Obviously, I haven't learned that for today. Following the first panel, then we'll have the questions and answers, and then Kelly will again introduce the second panel, and we'll have 5 more speakers, and then we will have questions and answers. And then when it's all over, Jeffrey Millard of Iraq Veterans Against the War will provide us with closing remarks. So now I'd like to introduce Sergeant Kelly Doherty. Sergeant Kelly. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have Barbara Lee go next, and then I'll introduce you, Sergeant Kelly.
Thank you very much.